Don't ask me why, but for some reason the Kingdom manga have been on a very, very long break. And actually only 2 chapters away from 500. Well, granted it's only one now, but I was talking about later. Finally, we got Kingdom chapter 499 and it does not disappoint. Then again, Kingdom has actually been on a roll lately. Not only being in the list of the most readable lists, but yeah, Kingdom is now officially one of the most popular mangas there is. So, but then again, it's been for a very long while. Hi, for those who are watching, it's me again, the angry anime fan, the despair reviewer. Glad I actually could review this when I was home. As you all know, in last chapter, the enigmatic General Ousen was revealed to become commander. As the different people share on the different warriors, so to speak, Ten meets Heki, and they begin to talk about what they're gonna, where they're gonna stand. And also Heki makes a point that 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 this war is giving a very tense atmosphere. This will be a war which exceeds all their expectations. And we all know that. There was a very big foreshadowing for a very long time that this war is having nothing on the coalition army. Is that how you say it? I mean, this war is way more. It's gonna bring way more much carnage than the coalition army. And I guess the question a lot of people are asking themselves is how many important characters are gonna die? Well, I wouldn't say. Well, after all, there were some important characters that died in the coalition army arc. Although technically there were those who were introduced in that arc and then they died. So yeah, will we now see old veterans dying? Who knows? But Hickey also makes the point that as they see Ousen standing by Shobu-kun, he asks Ten, what are your thoughts about the guy named Ousen? Because even though Hickey has still not forgotten the fact how Ousen treated him during all those years ago, but he's also but the fact that Ousen's eyes is something about shifted morals, and we all know that. After all, Ousen holds a secret desire to be a king, and even though extremely talented and brilliant, perhaps even more than any other of the 6 generals of all times, he at the same time is extremely selfish. And as Rempa said, the guy is extremely talented, but he is more concerned with his own life than about others. And as we see, he has never once changed his face. So, I mean, his look in his eyes and his face. We haven't even seen him without his mask on. So, yeah, he is a guy with shady morals. And Ten reveals something even more strange. Apparently, a long time ago, Kosho, one of the 6 generals, actually acknowledged Ousen because Kosho was apparently the only of the 6 generals who was the greatest tactical one, but not exactly a warrior, the most strategic of the 6. And it was actually, and Shobun-kun actually studied the martial arts and military arts under Kisho, meaning that he is a student of one of the Mighty One. And Kisho said that Ousen's strategic actually alone could be considered an equal to the 6 generals. But Heki actually gets even more confused that way. And I think I know why. I mean, he's saying if he held Ousen in such regard even at that many years ago, then the current General Ousen must be. I think he's saying something like, if he was talented back then there's no telling how talented he is now. That's probably what he's saying. But at the beginning, I actually understood that like saying, then just how old is Ousen? Granted, we do not exactly know how many years it was until the 6 generals died. What was it? Well, if we're not counting all those years Shin has been or has Shin been traveling the military field for 10 years now? I didn't count. But, and, could it be that the six generals died 20 years ago? And I'm not counting Ouki. He was the last of the six to die. So, hmm. I mean, how old is Ousen? Granted, he does not look young, but he doesn't exactly look old either. So yeah, with that, Shobun-kun has given them the plan. Even though Shohei-kun is nervous, and even the retainer of Shobun-kun is also Shohei-kun. I always mix up their names, don't I? But they trust Ousen to do that. But before he goes, Ousen says something. If I may, make one request of you before we set out. I have no idea what that request is, but I have a very big feeling it is not something good. I think it is something like, I want my own city, or something like that. After all, he wants to have an own kingdom. But if we're gonna talk a little bit about Ousen, at the same time, we have to ask this. If he wants to be a king and all this stuff, then why does he keep on serving Shin? Is it possible he's like an, insider? And I'm not talking about playing all the different sides. I think he's saying he's gathering the different powers, and then when he has the strength he gets, because after all, he picks up people he defeats. Either gives them the choice, serve me or die. Perhaps he's gathering different strength, gathering different knowledge, and then he can form, and if he gets his own city as a reward, then he can build an independent country with his soldiers alone, because they're loyal to him alone, and since he's such a prodigy at all this, then no one can touch him. Meaning that he has to be acknowledged as an independent place and independent king. I think, at least. And if that happens, then no one can defeat him. But then we finally get to the interesting part. Sei meets Shin to see them off. And of course, the rookies do not exactly recognize that Sei is the king. Well, how could they? As the two comrades did their own way of saying the this is gonna be the real critical wars. We're gonna come out sooner or later. This one's not gonna be the last either. So, but apparently Shin asked for Sei to give something, and so a man wields a very gigantic thing that he barely can wield. A very brilliant weapon. What is that weapon? Even Kyokai is being surprised by see that, as Shin's unit uh, all cry happy tears. Yes, at a long last. Actually, and a bit I would have asked, it would have felt a little bit more awesome if I wielded it in the 500 chapter, but that don't matter, right? At long last, Shin is going to war with Ouki's Glaive. Is that how you say it? General Ouki's Glaive is finally in his hands, and even though it's a bit heavy at that time for him, Shin now wields it with one arm. As his units cry happy tears, at long last, Shin can keep up the promise he made all those years. He was too weak and not too practiced to train the Glaive, and as we've seen of some of his wars, strangely though, we did not see it during the Kanki War, Shin has practiced with the Glaive, and now he's wielding King Ouki's Glaive, which he mentions it's very heavy, but it's also incredibly warm. The final wishes of Ouki is in that one. Wishes, and now, and although Shin acknowledges it, if I try to use it right away, I'll probably be the one to get swung around. But he has to get used to it. So he will get moving. So as Sei says to Shin, I shall await news of your success. Shin screams, yes, just you watch. This Glaive will be the one to claim Riboku's head. But if you ask me, I think this Glaive will be the one to claim Hawken's head. If you think about it, that would be perfect karma. The Glaive made by the one man Hawken never could understand, and the one man who defeated him at the beginning, and the one man he technically couldn't defeat. then that will be karma at its sweetest. Yes, I know, Ouken is an immortal monster, undefeated, but people never seem to understand. I know this is not a shonen series, almost not a shonen series, but what people do not understand is there's always an undefeatable guy that one day has to be defeated by the main character. That's the law of manga. And that's the law of different things. So at long last, Shin wields the glaive. How is it gonna be? Even Kyoka reacted. At the beginning, I actually wondered what kind of reaction that was. Was that jealousy? Nah, I don't think so. Kyoka has never been one to be jealous or something like that. However, what will the other troops say once they see, oh, oh, once they see Shin wielding that? In fact, if the Ousen and Ouhon comes from the same clan as Ouki, once they see that that Shin is wielding Ouki's glaive, isn't there a very huge chance they're gonna be a bit mad at that? I mean, especially Ouhon. I mean, I know he only wields a spear, but I think he's gonna say, "You're not worthy of wielding that blade." It's also a bit shame that Shin is not wielding the other generals. No, Duke Huo's shield. One step at a time, right? But at long last, they're marching towards the Sao War. And I think, yeah, this war will be the war to decide it all. I don't know if this is going to be the final arc in the manga, I don't think so, but what I mean is, Sao is going to crumble this arc. At least it must. So we're definitely going to say goodbye to some important characters. What do you think will happen now? And did you think that awesome scene with Shin wielding the glaive was amazing? Give me your thoughts if you have any.